The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. You're listening to The Secrets of Technology. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. And joining me today on the panel are Joanne Mercier. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, Dom.
And Father Cory Stiga. Hi, Father Cory.
How's it going, Dom?
Very well, thanks. Folks, I want to tell you about another show on the network that I'm sure you'll enjoy called Raising the Bets. That's a show I do with my wife, Melanie, and we talk about family life, we talk about movies, food, the mass readings of the week, and all kinds of fun stuff like that. Come and check it out wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/bets. That's BETTS. So I want to start with some listener feedback from our last episode. First up is listener Melanie, who had asked if we could tell her about installing Linux on an old Mac. And we had a little preliminary discussion of that last week. I mentioned that, Father Cory, you're installing Linux on a same vintage iMac that Melanie had.
A little bit newer, but it's actually sitting next to me. You can see it on screen, or at least Joanne and Dom can see it sitting next to me on screen.
Right.
And I've already installed it, and so we'll talk more about it. You know, the goods and the bads and the things to watch out for, because installing on Macs, even the Intel Macs, has its concerns. Let's just put it that way.
Right. So we'll be talking about that in an upcoming show. But Melanie says, for now, thanks for responding to my request on the show and for putting in the time to answer my question in a future episode. I look forward to hearing that episode once you're able to produce it. I searched the Pick of the Week archive since I sent in my original email and saw Thomas had Linux Mint as a prior pick. I started to read the information on their site, so I'm glad to know it's still what Jack and Thomas recommend. Are you doing Linux Mint, Father Cory, or something else?
That's what I've got on here right now. I'm going to try a couple other distros, because for those who don't know, Linux has these different distributions, and they have different focuses, and some install easier than others, some run easier on hardware than others. So it's kind of trying to figure out. Linux Mint is one I like as well. So, okay. But there's others like Ubuntu that people know that are good as well. So
excellent.
Yeah, and I'm sort of looking into this only because I want to, for my work, if we can repurpose some of our computers, make them last longer and, be happy to try it.
Linux is great for that. So
a lot of Catholic churches and schools with older computers that are sitting around, and, if you can get Linux on it and do the basic things that need to be done on those computers, you may as well.
Yeah, I'd rather go Linux than Chrome.
Right. Our next email comes from Tanya, who says, after listening to your episode Kids and Home Assistant, I thought I'd share my hack for turning off the echoes. I'm replacing the A word with echo here, just so I don't turn it on. Our Echo is plugged in behind a piano, and we have multiple songs and phrases programmed in at all hours of the day, so there are many times we would just like to turn the device off rather than toggle each routine. Volume 0 isn't truly 0. It still has a volume about the level of a pin dropping, which children immediately pick up on. Yeah, isn't it annoying that they do that?
Yeah.
Solution, we've plugged the Amazon Echo into a smart outlet and added a routine triggered by a command like shutdown or power off. Unfortunately, we cannot do the same to turn it back on, but nothing's perfect, and the outlet has an app for that. So, interesting. So, in order to turn it off altogether, sort of the nuclear option of this, which is just to turn it all the way off so the kids can't access it at all, unless they turn the outlet back on. It's not exactly the same thing, I think, that our listener last week was looking for, because he wanted to be able to play music but not have the kids be able to choose different music while it was working. But this is another possibility of a way of controlling it. It's a clever hack.
I'm surprised that Amazon hasn't come up with something, because they want Her Highness to recognize, your different voices. But there's nothing for us to switch off, don't use this voice or don't use that voice on a certain Your Highness. Because I'll tell you, when my husband talks too loud in the house, all Ziggies, and I hope that didn't send anybody going, go off and start doing the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the upstairs one can hear him downstairs. So I'm surprised they haven't come up with a solution to that.
You know, in the Google Assistant, which I have, a lot of them have an actual hard switch on the bottom that just shuts off the
microphone.
voice.
Yep.
The microphone.
Yep.
I haven't tested if you can, set music playing and then reach underneath, pick it up and shut it off if it'll keep going. I've not tested that, but that could be a possibility that could work for people who have those kind of devices to, you start the music and then you shut the speaker off and make sure the kid doesn't go near it. Because they'll figure that out too, but at least it's something where if you can see the assistant and the kid's not doing it. So
we actually mentioned these last week that the Echoes have a switch as well. They all have a microphone switch as well. And we also talked about how it's weird that Amazon says it can recognize different voices for the purpose of scheduling appointments and reminders, but you can't tell it to not listen to that voice, only listen to this voice. So it's kind of strange. So we'll see how it if anybody comes up with any other ideas or if they develop new things. I've just shut off the microphone on my that's sitting on my desk now, so I can say Alexa and have it not respond.
So you mean,
because everybody else just did.
Yeah.
Right, really. So you mean yanking the plug out in frustration is not an option?
Well, I mean, it is an option. It's just not the one I've chosen to use. The other thing that you mentioned, Joanne, like where they all go off, I find that interesting because it happens to me all the time where I'm trying to get the one. We have a small house. We have 3 of them spread out, but it doesn't do that for us. Like they'll all ping, but only one listens. And it's the same way with the S Lady in my iPhone.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because one is an old, the first version Echo downstairs, and I have an Echo Spot upstairs as our alarm clock.
Sure.
At this point, I'm willing just to go to Hey Shlomo.
Right.
Yeah.
Because she listens a heck of a lot better.
Right.
I just get the same problem with my Google one because I've got one in the kitchen, which is right next to my bedroom. And there'll be times where I'm whispering in my bedroom and the kitchen one will go off. It's like, how did you hear me?
That's kind of disturbing a little.
Especially since the bedroom one is like 2 feet from me at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. So if anybody else has any other tips or hacks for their controlling their home assistants, especially with regard to their kids, we'd love to hear them. So you can email us at technology@sqpn.com. So a few weeks ago, one of my picks was I mentioned that I had just gotten another uninterruptible power supply battery backup for my home office here. And Joanne mentioned, we should talk about, choosing and buying and setting one up in the future. And so that time has come. And so we're going to talk right now about how do you know, what is a UPS? How do you know which one to get? There's a big variety of them out there. And so let's get right into that now. So the first thing to know is what a UPS is. I'll say UPS instead of uninterruptible power supply. Yeah. Because uninterruptible is a terrible word to say.
Yes, it is.
And we're not talking about the guy in the brown van.
That's right. Yes, that's a different UPS. So a UPS is basically a smart battery that you plug into your wall outlet and on one end and some electrical device on the other that continually charges off the wall power while still powering your devices. But then if you lose power in that wall outlet, it continues to power your device for a period of time. I mean, that's the basic definition, and there are features beyond that some have, but that's what they all have in common. So why do you want one? Well, obviously you can keep working when the power goes out if you need to. So the power goes out, but your computer's plugged into it. The battery, it's like having it's like a laptop. You just keep working. It lets you shut down your equipment in an orderly fashion to prevent damage. So the power goes out, and without one of these, your system just blank. Whether it's in the middle of writing a file or doing anything else, you're done. Most models, I think now, condition the power. So they take the power coming out of the wall, which can be, in certain parlance, dirty power, and it smooths out any glitches, brownouts, voltage changes, all that sort of nonsense. There are other kinds of power problems that fall short of outages that the UPS can help with and prevent long-term damage to your electronics. So that's the other thing that can extend the life of delicate electronics. One thing to think about is if you have a laptop, laptops don't really need a UPS, but if you have other equipment, because they already have a battery in them, but if you have other equipment like a monitor, external hard drives, that sort of thing, you might want something for that as well. So.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this, because I have the Synology.
Mm-hmm.
And my concern is I've seen where the power goes out and it just clicks that thing down.
Yep.
So when I restart it, I'm a little scared at times because one good shock and there goes all my movies.
Right.
So.
Yes. And we'll talk specifically about that because, you could use it for keeping your network hardware up and running, your router and your cable modem, your computers, your monitors, network attached storages like Synology, TVs, security systems. You can even have one around to keep your phone charged during outages, that sort of thing. So.
And a lot of modern operating systems handle things like power outages very well compared to how they used to. I mean, it used to be a real concern where if there's a power outage and your system went down, you could have just lost your hard drive. Well, a lot of modern operating systems are much better, and a lot of modern hardware handles that better. But that being said, it's still best to, even if you have a UPS that gives you, 2 minutes to shut down, that's still better than nothing.
Right. And that's your situation that you mentioned, Joanne, was precisely why I bought that most recent UPS, was because to hook it up to my network attached storage, my Synology drives, because I had a series of power outages last fall, and eventually it killed one of the drives in it. Not the entire drive, thankfully. And that's why it's a RAID, because it's an internal backup. But, for the cost of replacing a hard drive, I can get a UPS. It seemed a no-brainer to me. So let's talk about some of the different kinds of UPSs. They range from very small units that could fit on your desk to larger units that would go under your desk, like the size of toasters, or even like the size of a tower computer, like a PC. To big rack mounted units that you can put in businesses and that sort of stuff. So there's a huge variety of them. Most of the ones that we'll talk about here are either the small ones that can fit on a desk or a shelf, or they go under your desk. There are three basic types. They're standby, line interactive, and double conversion. I don't know what that means, like why those names are given, but I'll tell you why they're there. So standby is good for your basic surge. So if there's a power surge, it'll stop the power from getting to your sensitive electronics. For blackouts, obviously, because of the battery, and brownouts. The difference between a blackout and a brownout: blackout is the power is gone. A brownout is the power goes down. It's still power coming through, but not as much as it should. And that can also cause serious problems with sensitive electronics. Then there's line interactive, which does all those things, plus it handles under and over voltage situations, and then double conversion, which is good for all of that, plus line noise, frequency variation, and harmonic distortion. I'm not an electrician, so I don't know much about those last two, line conversion, double conversion, those things. Those are the least common, and probably if you need those, you probably know already that you need those.
Right. Well, and I mean, I know a little bit about electrical circuits and so on. And, there's transformers and things like that in there that isolate. So the power coming in is not as straight through to the output. And that's how it can do the cleaning up the line noise and over voltage and under voltage. Because, over voltage can fry a system, but under voltage can too. And that's why things like that are concerns.
Yeah. And for me, I know a little bit about line noise because my husband was doing telephone systems for a while, and in the old days we used to put line
ground
noise
fault interrupters,
the noise interrupters in the phones when first computers came out, and you didn't want them to have noise for some reason. That's the only thing I remember. No, I'm looking probably for something in the blackout brownout
surge,
because we don't have a lot of under a lot that I know of an over voltage here. Yeah. That seems to be pretty straight, but it's the blackout thing. And if I've got a few extra minutes to power down, or if I can it be used as a big battery? Like to
that's what it is.
Control things with afterwards? Like
Yep.
just let it sit there and just go to it and recharge?
Yes, right. Yes,
It
it will.
can.
It automatically recharges and will charge anything off of it when it's in that mode. So let's talk about like how. So most of our listeners are going to need just a regular standby, and most of the ones we talk about today, the specific ones, will be in that standby category. So, but you got to figure out like how much UPS do you need, because there are three different considerations. You need to like so all of the power requirements of all the equipment you want to plug into it. And then how much time you want it to be able to run with all that stuff plugged in. So the first step is tally up the power requirements of all the equipment. So you think of all the devices you're going to plug in, and then find their normal use wattage. So your computer, your monitor, external drive, say. Wattage you can find usually in the manuals or on the manufacturer's website. Sometimes if it has an external power supply, it'll be on that, and it's whatever the W is, or that's what's up.
WA or watt amps or whatever.
Yeah, sometimes it'll be amps, sometimes it'll be watts. It might be milliamps, which is thousands of amps, that sort of thing. And so you add all that up, and then your power supply will have a number that tells you this. It can handle up to this much wattage of power going out to the devices attached to it. The other limitation is that UPSs will usually have a limit on the number of, not usually, they all have a limit on the number of outlets on them. There's no infinite outlet power supply. So you need to keep count of how many things you can plug in. And I think most of them, they almost do like half and half. Half the outlets that they make available are battery backup, and half are just surge protection. So you got to keep that in mind when you're looking at it. You can only battery back up about half as many as you have plugs in it.
And it should say for safety's sake, no plugging in a power strip is not a good idea.
Right.
No.
Right.
Even I know
don't
that.
try to daisy chain
No.
Don't try to daisy chain power strips, period, but especially off of a UPS.
Right.
That's just badness waiting to happen.
Yes, bad muju. Yes. So don't do that. And then you need to figure out how much runtime you're going to need. Do you want to be able to run for an hour off of it, or 5 minutes? And some of that will be determined by, again, how much stuff you plug into it. If you have a big battery backup and only plug in a couple of things with low, that it's well below its limit, you'll get more battery life out of it. I mean, that's just standard battery stuff. But if you max it out, you're gonna get less runtime. So think about, like, am I doing this because I want to be able to keep working for a long time, or just so I can finish up what I'm doing and shut things down? You just got to think about that sort of stuff. So that's how you figure out the size of the different kinds of UPSs. So let's talk about the options and the brands. So the main brands that I would say that you look at are APC. That's the one I get. They're the gold standard.
That's the big name. That's the one that they've been doing it forever.
Yeah. And they do they do business level, commercial level, but they also do a lot of home products. Another one is Trip Lite. That's 2 P's in Trip Lite. CyberPower is another one that's well regarded. And Amazon has their own brand, Amazon Basics. I don't know that I really like Amazon. I don't know. I'd rather go with a company that does this as their bread and butter when I'm dealing with electronics.
This is my personal recommendation, is stay away from Amazon Basics for something like this. I mean, they're fine for cables usually, but even then you get problems. I don't know if I'd want to trust my computer to an Amazon Basics UPS.
And the other thing that a lot of these companies offer is a warranty. Like if your stuff is plugged in and you're using the UPS the way it's supposed to be, and your equipment gets damaged, they will cover damage. They will, up to a certain dollar amount. So, keep that in mind. I would guess I didn't look it up, but I guess the Amazon Basics would have a warranty, but I don't know. Amazon gets enough of my money. I want to spread it around a bit. Let's put it that way.
And if you buy the APC at Amazon, they're getting some money out of it anyway. So.
Exactly. And all these products are available at Amazon to begin with. So let's talk about some of the options. So I would say for the overall, least spend the least amount of time thinking about it. One
Mhm.
is the APC Backups Pro 1500 VA
Yes.
volt amps. So it can handle up to 1500 volt amps of stuff being plugged into it. That's what I got for. I have two of those. I have one
Right.
at my desk for my computer stuff, and one for my two Synology network attached storage devices. One is personal, one is work. It's way overpowered for the amount of power that those two draw, but those are very important.
Yes. See, this is the one I've got as well. It's got actually sitting right next to me, and it works great on my Hackintosh, my desktop system, which is a fairly thirsty system. I mean, it draws pretty good, and I can get easily half an hour off of it without any problem. And that's the thing. That's if I'm not gaming or something like that. Obviously, if I'm not really drawing. But and one nice thing about this one is it's got an on-screen little display you can look through, and you can see how what it estimates how long it'll run, how much wattage you're using, what the power coming in is like. So if you do have an under voltage or an over voltage coming from the line, it'll show you that.
Yeah.
And you can, and one thing you'll talk about is the beeping, and you can actually turn that off on this one.
Oh, thank you.
So that's the other thing is when you lose power, it wants you to know that you're running on battery backup. And so they have a hardware beep that they start beep, 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 like every few seconds. And it can drive you a little batty, frankly, if the power's still for any length of time. So I have to figure that out, how to turn that off, because I didn't look through the manual. For that.
I think you basically there's a button on the top of it that's got like the speaker.
Oh, okay, good. I'm going to totally do that because the nice thing is, well, I'll tell you in a few minutes about the other way that it notifies you that it's working as is. I mean, the fact that your computer is not off is a part of a way to
one of those.
The lights are off, but the computer is on. It's working. All right, so that's the one that like the least overall to think about. That's about $180 at Amazon. Okay, so. It's not the cheapest thing around, but it covers a lot. All right. The next one, if you want to get a bargain one. So I've seen recommended the Amazon Basics bargain one. That's for $50, but APC makes a backup one for about the same price. It's called the 425 voltage amp. So it can do about a third of the amount of stuff that the first one I told you about can do. Like if you have a laptop, which already has a battery, but you want to like make sure you can power like a monitor and maybe a hard drive or something off of it while you're dealing with things, that would probably be sufficient. It would probably be okay with like say your TV.
And kind of one thing to comment too is if you have internet that comes either through something like DSL or cable where it's powered from the source,
right?
Or like I've got Starlink satellite. You plug those in their modems into a UPS, like these little power strip style UPSs, and they'll keep your internet going too.
Right.
So you're able to still be on the internet while the power's out. So that's another thing to think about too. Because I've got a 600 VA APC out in the garage for my Starlink, and that keeps the internet up great too when the power goes out.
Yep. And this one would be good for like your router, your Wi-Fi router, and that sort of stuff would be another use for this that doesn't draw a ton of power. But you want to do the whole adding things up though, just to make sure. If your network, if your internet is down, you might still want your network to be up in order to do your smart home stuff. So, if you've got smart home switches and light bulbs, you still want to be able to turn those on and off using those without having to, especially if you've disabled the mechanical switches, you want to be able to turn the things on and off with the smart home stuff. And so you can plug your smart home into that. Another one that is recommended. I'll put a link to this article about the 9 best uninterruptible power supplies of 2022, which was pretty good from LifeWire. But they said for general home use, they recommend the Tripp-Lite AVR 750U. So that gives you 750 voltage amps for about $100. And for network and other devices, like maybe a game console or other things like that, they also recommend a CyberPower CP800 for about $100. So. It gives you an idea, and click through the articles. We'll have several different links about how to choose a UPS, and then B, recommendations of different UPSs out there, and click through, read the pros and cons, and get an idea of the different options. So let's say you bought your UPS, you've got it now, you get it home. How do you set it up? How do you get it going? Well, it's fairly easy. It doesn't take forever to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fairly straightforward process. But the first step for a lot of them is to activate the battery. They ship with the battery deactivated. Like APC actually sends you in the 1500, you have to take the battery out, flip it around, and put it back in. That way it's not discharging while it's coming to you, in a truck. Via UPS maybe.
Or a plane.
Or a plane, right. And that's actually another aspect of it, which we'll get to about the removable battery. Not all of them have a removable battery. So you activate the battery, you plug it into the wall, obviously, and you start plugging your devices in. And remember, half the outlets are battery powered. Half the outlets are going to probably be just surge protection, but it should be labeled.
One thing they usually recommend is when you first plug it into the wall, don't plug anything else into it. Let it charge up and then.
Yep. That's a good point. Yes.
So let it get, even if not 100%, let it get a decent charge, so give it, an hour or so to do its thing, and then start moving your computer and everything over.
Right. Some of the models will have other surge protection things you could like plug in a network cable, or like a coax cable from that comes in from the wall into that, and then out from that to the router. And that's not powering. That's not providing backup power. That's providing line conditioning and cleaning up the signal and that sort of stuff, and prevents surges, because surges can come through your cable TV cable just as much as they can come through the power. It's still electricity. But don't think that's backing that's giving a battery backup to your cable box. It's not. It's just a little extra surge protection. And then with some devices, the smarter ones, the little more expensive ones, you can connect it via USB to your computer. Some UPSs can communicate to computers that they're on battery power, like on Macs. Like my UPS that I have, the 1500, communicates to my Mac. The Mac has a built-in software in System Preferences in the Energy Saver panel that says, once you've plugged one of these in, you'll see it there now in the Energy Saver panel, and you can say, okay, when you're on battery backup with the UPS, initiate a soft shutdown after 10, 15, 20 minutes. So you can do that there.
Or when your battery reaches at X percentage. That's another nice thing too, is you can say when it hits 25% or 5 minutes remaining, shut down.
Right. And Windows has this also built in. Some manufacturers have their own software that you can install. And the nice thing too, like I mentioned with the beeping, is if you turn off the hardware beeping, you still can get a notification on your computer that it's running on battery backup.
And you can have the little thing in Mac OS where it's up there by the clock, and it shows you, just like a laptop where it shows you the battery strength, how much is in the battery.
That's right. And if you can also connect it to, like, for the Synology, I think other ones do this too, like QNAP, you can connect it via USB to a Synology drive, and it will do the same thing. It will recognize that it's on UPS power and initiate a soft shutdown. And if you have multiple network and Synology NASs, you can designate one to be a server, a UPS server, so that it's the one that connects to the UPS, but it communicates to all the others that are on the UPS plugged into it to shut down as well. So you don't have.
That's cool.
Yeah,
nice.
That was it was nice to discover that. So, so that, and then that's it. You're plugged in. You're ready to go, waiting for the power outage or the brownout or whatever it is. You're good to go at that point. So one more consideration: future maintenance and ongoing usage. These are batteries in them, and as we know, batteries wear out, and depending on the brand and model, you can swap out the batteries over time. So like the 1500, it has a swappable battery, and the length of time you get out of it, it depends on a lot of factors. sometimes on just how bad your power is. Like if you're constantly hitting that battery, if you're constantly losing power, getting surges and spikes and that sort of stuff, it'll wear out faster. But expect 3 to 5 years out of it, and you can replace it right now. I was looking anywhere from $40 to $60, about somewhere in there for most.
That's a good deal.
Yeah.
And you can find these batteries are fairly common. I mean, you can, if you've got like a Batteries Plus or something like that, where it's a store that's kind of their specialty or batteries. It's not going to be the official APC branded one, which is literally just an aftermarket one slapped with an APC label on it, but still,
right.
But they've got batteries that match, and and they'll be on the lower end, obviously, because they're not the name brand ones.
Right. But you're going to pay a lot less for the battery that goes in it, which is good. That's a good idea. A good suggestion is to go find someplace like Batteries Plus.
Because I've done that. You just pull the battery out of the UPS that went dead or that's dying, and just take it over there, and they can look at the numbers on it and match it up with a battery that'll fit. And
they'll recycle the battery for you, the dead battery, which is I've got a dead a Verizon FiOS battery that has been rattling around in my car for ages as I'm trying to find someplace that will take it.
You're going to have to tell me where there's one around here.
Yeah.
I have the same Verizon FiOS battery.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
So, I don't know if Batteries Plus is the brand around here. I don't know if that's a store that's in chain, nationwide or regional, but there's other stores like that out there too. So
yeah, there are some in our area, in the Boston area where we are. In fact, cool. There's one.
So, know what Dom's doing after recording?
No, no kidding. Get rid of those stupid batteries in my car.
Me too.
Anyway, so you'll need to replace the battery eventually. So what happens when the power goes out? All right, the beeping begins. Perhaps you'll know the power's out. And so my suggestion is finish what you're doing. Wrap it up. You don't have to rush usually, but wrap it up and shut down. Don't try to eke out every watt and volt out of that battery continuing to work. Just take a break and shut it down. But the first thing is turn off all unnecessary devices immediately if you want to extend your working time a little more. So if you've got a label printer plugged into it, unplug it if you don't need it, and then move on.
And that is where having the little indicator on the top bar of your Mac or Windows will do it on the bottom, because then you can kind of watch. Like I said, mine will do about a half an hour. So, I can know if I could go for about 10, 15 minutes and not worry about it, but I can kind of keep my eye on that as I'm working, going, okay, that's getting to about half. I need to start thinking about what I'm going to do soon. Yeah. So that's a good thing if you've got the ones, and most of them will have the UPS connect or the USB connection.
Yeah.
And if you have that, again, just kind of keep an eye on that and make arrangements to be able to say, okay, it's time, and hit the shutdown button.
Exactly.
Yeah, because my biggest fear is I'm in the middle of something very important.
Yep.
And I either don't have autosave or I haven't hit the save button a few times, and there it goes. And no, that makes me cry.
We've all had that feeling. We've all had that feeling.
Yes, that moment when everything goes dark and your heart sinks, going, what just happened? No.
Exactly.
I've had that too many times. So I've had that happen in the middle of a podcast once. That was fun. I don't think I could keep a podcast going under those conditions. I've never tested whether the internet could continue to run.
Yeah.
The internet itself could continue to run with everything off, but I've got too much. I'd have to get another backups for my mixer and microphone stuff too. So it's more. Yeah.
That's where I'm set up right now. If the power went out, I'd be okay for, again, 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
But beyond that, then I'd be kind of out of luck.
So, so that's about all I have for this. We'll have links to a couple of different UPS buying guides with some good information about considerations, the fundamentals of UPSs, and then a couple of articles that offer recommendations of current devices that are out there, and you can take your pick. And if you got other questions, we'll be happy to field them. Again, send them to technology@sqpn.com.
I just kind of want to reiterate, if you've got more than just a laptop, if you're one of these people that you just use an iPad or you just use a laptop and that's all you have, you don't need it. But if you've got more than that, if you've got displays, you've got printers, they're worth it. They really are worth even a small one that'll give you enough time to hit the shutdown button.
Right. Frankly, if you are just like laptop or iPad only, one of those Anker portable battery, like the big ones with a big handle on the top. I had a pick of the week a while ago.
We talked about when we did emergency preparations.
Yeah. Oh, right. So one of those would keep you charged up. Even your laptop would keep it charged up for ages. So if your needs are simple, that's more expensive, frankly, than a UPS. But that's because it's designed to be portable and take with you on trips and. Yeah.
Use it for a lot more things too. So
now, I think people who discovered during the pandemic that now they're working at home and all of this equipment is extremely valuable.
Yep.
And plus, you don't want to be interrupted. Lose like 4 days worth of work in a split second. I think that's what these are for. That's what we're looking for right now.
Yeah. If a lot of businesses are giving their people who are working from home like allowances for stuff to outfit their home office, consider a UPS as in that, in between getting the nice chair and the desk. A UPS is a not a bad idea. Excellent. All right, so let's move on. I want to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the secrets of technology, including John S., Michael F., Justin D., Michael P., and John T. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the secrets of technology and all the shows at StarQuest, and you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. So let's move on to talk about our headlines this week. Our first headline is about YouTube. The Verge reports that YouTube is taking on over-the-air TV with nearly 4,000 free episodes of TV. So this is different from the YouTube subscription service, the TV subscription service. This is just regular YouTube. And so what's going to happen is you can they already offer some movies for free that have ads in. Yep. So now they're going to have TV shows for free with ads built into them. So
did you hear the big sigh that just came from me?
Yeah.
Why is that, Joanne?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
No,
Joanne.
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think it's interesting because they say they're going against over-the-air TV. They're really not. They're going against places like Hulu that, might charge, but then will have the ads.
Right, right.
And they're going against their own YouTube TV.
Right.
If you want my honest opinion, because believe me, there's enough stuff that they're going to, I have a feeling what they're going to put on YouTube is going to be the same stuff that's on Cozy and all those, lower TV channels that come in YouTube TV. Plus, you can go to Tubi TV, which is which I believe Fox is running. I think Fox is the back end of Tubi TV.
Interesting.
And they're showing, you can watch Carol Burnett shows
awesome.
or Johnny Carson, but it's every 5 bleeping minutes of a commercial. And sometimes it's the same commercial.
Oh, that drives me crazy.
Every single time.
Yeah.
So that's not doing anything that would do nothing for me as a cord cutter. But what does for me, give me something lower that has a Red Sox channel. And I'll be happy for like the next 6 months.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, the only one that does NESN, which is our Red Sox channel, is Fubo at the moment.
Okay.
And there's too much sports on Fubo for us.
Right.
So it's not worth it.
So it looks like, though, like to clarify, these are not this is not the TV show that aired over the air last night. Whatever Survivor latest episode. These are previous seasons of current shows or shows that are no longer in the air, that sort of thing. And that's the thing is you're paying for it by watching these ads. A lot of ads, like Hulu does the same thing. Although Hulu charges you and shows you ads, so unless you pay a really high price. Well, that's to get you to pay even a higher price. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But
this is almost kind of like a was it Pluto TV
Pluto's
as well?
another
where,
one, yes.
Yep.
But that one's more not on demand. This is going to be on demand, where you can pick the shows you want, the episodes you want.
Right.
Pluto is more just streaming. Like, there's a Doctor Who channel or a Star Trek channel, and it's just whatever episode they happen to be showing at that moment.
It's like classic regular over-the-air TV. Like, in that
Which
case.
you can get with an antenna.
Although
Yeah,
I can't get a Doctor Who channel with an antenna, so they're just providing a particular service.
Yeah, you can just binge classic Doctor Who or Star Trek, classic Star Trek episodes, stuff like
and not
that.
to go too far down this rabbit hole, and I'll probably be bringing it up in future episodes, is that there's a lot of mergers now starting with all these little
Yep.
streaming companies, and there's one coming up that I'm not particularly happy about. So HBO and Discovery.
Oh, right.
That's right.
Yeah, right
That's
now I've got the best stuff on Discovery for little money, and they want to put HBO Max on top of this, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
I'm not going to start spending more money on a subscription. So yeah, you're going to hear me have my opinions about, well, no, it's becoming cable.
No.
It's becoming cable. Hello.
Right. They're reinventing cable all
They're
over again.
reinventing cable, exactly.
Yeah. The bundles. All right. Our next headline, speaking of subscribing to things, is that Apple is reportedly considering selling subscriptions to iPhones and iPads. Now, a lot of people are going, well, how is this different from the iPhone upgrade program, which you can pay for the combined cost of an Apple Care and iPhone over 24 months, and after 12 months of payments, you can trade in for a new device. And the main difference is, I'm not sure this is a huge benefit to people who are already doing that, but the main difference is this is a subscription. It's just you pay X amount every month, and when you stop, you turn the phone back in, that sort of thing. And every so often, whatever it is, they send you a new phone. Maybe every 2 years or something like that. And I think the big benefit here is that Apple gets to get you into this, the Apple One thing, where now you're already paying one price for your Apple Fitness, Apple TV, Apple News, all the different Apple services, Apple Music. Now they can just throw the phone and the iPad in there too, and you're paying probably $50, $60, $70 a month. And you're getting everything on one charge.
Yep.
What do you think?
Go ahead, Father.
At first I kind of laughed, but thinking more about it is, if you don't want to own your phone, if you don't really care about owning your phone, if you want to upgrade every 2 years, this might be the best thing you could do.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to be making these payments anyways if you're doing the upgrade program. And then you have to worry about, okay, I did my 24 months on the upgrade program, and now do I want to upgrade it, or do I want to keep the phone and not pay for it? Well, if you're doing something like that, you're probably getting in 2 years or 3 years, you're going to want to say, no, I think I'll upgrade. And if they make it where, again, every 2 years or so, heck, if they make it where every year, if it's cheaper to just do the upgrade, I can see people doing that, because, of course, you got to have latest and greatest.
There's people who
the
want
14
the
is coming out.
Yeah.
The 14 is coming out. I can't keep my 13 anymore. That kind of deal.
Yeah.
But even for people, like, I prefer to own my phone. My phone, my obviously Google, but my Pixel is free and clear. I own it, and I can use it as long as I want. But if you don't want to do that, something like this actually might be a very good thing.
Yeah. I know I'm going to say a few things, and you're going to get feedback by somebody saying, okay, boomer. But here, I see something coming down the road here, and I've seen it for a while. My husband and I discuss this a lot. This kind of stuff is putting people into debt, by getting things that they really can't afford. Yeah, you hold up a subscription service, or you hold up, 25 easy payments, and people get into it. I think, if go home and tally up everything you're paying for all the things. Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah, exactly. It's scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very scary. And I think Apple jumping into the first thing when I read it was like, this is like cable bundles again. No, folks, if you can afford, I have an 11. I have an iPhone 11. It's mine. I bought it. Okay. I bought what I could afford. And now if I drop it and break it, it's my problem. And then if I can't afford something this good again, then I'll get what I can afford so that I'm not always jumping into debt. I think we rack up a lot of debt with all this subscription stuff. And,
Yep.
Yes, my computer is on 12-month payment plan because that's what I can afford.
Right.
But if it was any more than that, I wouldn't have done it. And I only bought what I could afford a month. People don't think in those terms anymore.
If you sit down and you add, like I do every year, I have a spreadsheet where I go through all of my bills and I look at everything I'm subscribed to, everything I'm paying on a regular basis. And I look at that, and it's not insubstantial for a family of 7. And I think about my parents in the 60s. They didn't pay hard, like they paid like for phone, and that was about it of all the things that are on that list. And the newspaper. If we're wondering why we're poorer and can't afford things as much as our parents and grandparents did, that might be part of it. It might be something to consider. Now, a lot of this stuff is just part of the modern life, and we're paying less for other things than they did, like for food and other stuff, on a inflation adjusted basis. So it bounced out a little bit, but it's something to keep in mind. The other aspect of this particular whether it's the iPhone upgrade program or a subscription, is if you are used to handing down your old phone that you've bought to a child, you won't be able to do that anymore. And that's a consideration. So that may make things more expensive if you have to be buying phones for them instead of being able to hand off an older phone that you own. So that's a factor to consider in especially in family situations. Or, like with my mom, I did for a lot of time. I handed her my old iPhone because she didn't need a brand new phone. So
I do that with my friends. They buy them cheap off of me.
Yeah.
And I like being able to do that because they also know they've got something that has been taken care of. But yeah, I know people are just going to dismiss me as a boomer, but I think we have to really sit and think about these things because this is why we don't have money to do other things like, give to our parishes and to needy charities and
buy a home,
buy a house.
Yep.
This is why we don't have it, because we're always trying for the latest and greatest, and thus ended the sermon.
The other thing, although just to kind of give the counterpoint, like why you would do this or what I would compare it to do, it's like leasing a car as opposed to buying a car. You the old saying is you buy what appreciates, lease what depreciates. And, if a phone depreciates over time, so maybe it's a better deal to not necessarily buy the phone, for you. But that's an individual situation.
And again, I kind of think like that last idea too is if you're going to be buying a phone every 2 years anyways, this is probably your better way to do it, because then you're not going to pay off the phone in 2 years, most likely.
Right.
At least not if you bought it. So, and it depends on the levels of what Apple charges, because I'm sure they'll have, lower priced rentals for last year's version versus higher priced rentals for this year's version. And if you want the super mega Plex edition with the rhinestones in the case, then it costs you more. And you
think Apple's going to put rhinestones on its phone?
I'm being sarcastic.
Not.
Johnny I will drive down a
Well, they tell you it's diamonds.
Yes.
But come on, really?
Sure.
No, I'm kidding.
That's good. Let's move on to another article. This is an interesting one. VW, Volkswagen, had an idea for how to improve electric vehicle charging stations around the country. So Tesla has got a network of like over 30,000 chargers around the world. They're the by and far the leader in this space. VW has a subsidiary company called Electrify America that has already got 730 of them, and they're still ramping up. But one of the things they've identified, one of the problems they've identified, is a lot of times, and if anyone who owns a electric vehicle will notice, I've noticed this even though I don't own one, is a lot of these charging stations that are out in the public, they're in like out of the way places. They're often inconvenient. It's nowhere near as convenient as driving up to a gas station and there's a pump, there's overhangs, there's a store, that sort of stuff. So VW, through its Electrify America, is looking to change that. So they're going to create what they call customer oases. Doesn't that sound great? A customer oasis.
Otherwise known as an electric gas station.
Exactly.
A convenience store, yeah.
Right. With
There'll
a
be-
convenience store.
There'll be convenience stores. Well, given that it takes time, a lot longer to
Right.
charge an EV than it takes to to refuel a gas engine, it actually makes sense to have convenience. It's actually business sense to have things for people to spend their money on while they're waiting.
Well, this is it. I think that electric vehicles are here.
Yeah,
Okay.
to stay.
To stay.
Yeah.
And I think that there needs to be better places than the parking lot at the Stop and Shop, which
Right.
has my Stop and Shop has one charging
Right.
station.
Right.
And I've never seen it used, but it has one charge. But see, it's the only one I've seen in my area. The rest of them I've seen on highways,
Yeah.
on rest stops. And those aren't always the greatest places for women and younger people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
People
yeah.
that they're out of the way. So I give them credit for trying to do something, but it's going to look like a gas station. It's going to look like a gas station with a convenience store.
Right.
Because that's the model right now.
Right. Right. I like the idea that they talk about like building these canopies with solar panels.
That is a good idea.
You know, and then so it serves the dual purpose of generating electricity, but also, you know, covering you from the elements. So I like this, and you know, have a little coffee shop inside. You can go in and sit and have a cup of coffee while you're waiting for your car to charge, or you know, that sort of thing. I like it. You know, in Texas they'll have Buc-ee's with Electro Bucky.
Oh, I was gonna say I think Buc-ee's actually have charging stations now too.
They probably do.
'cause-
Yeah.
Put a Panera in it, and you can sit there and do your work while your car is charging.
Exactly. Yeah, so there's a lot that it's interesting how all this stuff, the technological change is going to cause a societal change in how we do things like travel around, and you know, so it's very interesting to see, and so it'll be interesting to see how that and whether technology helps to fix the long charging times, and maybe that will decrease over time too.
And there, you know, actually, I've been watching a couple of videos with people that talking about electric cars and things like that. And there's tricks you can do, or like, for example, the idea of filling up to the brim.
Mm-hmm.
You really, if you're in a hurry, you don't do that with an electric car because it's actually quicker to fill usually 80%.
Yes.
And then go.
Right.
And just every time you fill up to about 80%.
Right, because
and you're actually quicker.
Batteries need to charge slowly the more full they get. They charge slower the more full they get, because you don't want to cause a fire, basically.
So it will cause, you know, changes in our mindset as far as, because we're used to, you go to the gas station, you stick it in, you hit the little latch and just let it go till it clicks off.
Right.
And, you know, with electric cars, it's a little bit different. But things like these stations will kind of help with that too, because you'll be right there instead of, like, I'm thinking the charging station, the Tesla charging station in Great Falls, it's next to a hotel and there's restaurants and stuff around.
Yep.
But you have to leave the lot to go to the restaurant, and it's a full service restaurant. It's not a McDonald's.
Right.
That's across the street, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, so that should do it for our headlines this week. We should move on to our picks of the week. And so for that, I'm going to first go to Father Corey. What is your pick this week?
So my pick is a game that actually right now is on early release on Steam. You know how you can get games that are their early availability, basically beta. That's what we used to call beta versions of games instead of now early release is what they call them on Steam.
Right.
But it's called Rail Route, and it's a combination train dispatcher game and puzzle game. So the idea is you're a train dispatcher. You've got this route that you have to run, but you first start out by having sometimes to build it. Depending on the mode you're in, you already have the route ready to go, and you dispatch trains and you add trains, you take contracts for trains and you get them to their stations and you tell them to turn around and all that kind of stuff. Or you've got the more puzzle levels where you've got the stations and you have to run the tracks and set up the signals to run the trains, and the trains will come at you at certain schedule and things like that. And of course, the more complex you want to go, the more difficulty there is. Some of them it's the kind of things, you got 10 waves of trains, kind of like a tower defense type game. You got 10 waves of trains and you get the first set of waves, you get points. And then, the next come and they're even faster, or there are more of them, or you have to do more crossovers. And you only have so much track to build. It's a lot of fun. I actually just found out about it yesterday. I've already put a couple hours into it. It's just kind of a fun, like I said, it's a puzzle game on the endless mode. If you want to keep it just simple and just, nice and light and kind of relaxing game where you've only got one or two trains to deal with at a time, you can. If you want to really ramp it up, you can.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really fun. It's got a lot of challenge because it will let you send 2 trains on the same track running the same way, and you will have boom, which of course means you lose. It doesn't go boom, but it just all of a sudden zooms on those 2 trains and goes, you lose.
Oh, my kids would love to have the boom.
No trains were harmed in this game.
Yeah, but it's a lot of fun. Like they just released update 4, and that has this rush hour mode where it gets harder and harder per wave, and you have to keep building. You have so much track to build at a time, and it's a fun game. Again, it's not hard to learn, but it can get very complicated very quickly.
Available for Mac and Windows, which is nice.
Yeah, it is Mac, Windows, Linux.
Nice.
So if you're going to turn your Mac into a Linux machine, it'll run on there.
Cool.
And it's not 3D, so it should run on fairly low powered systems, I would assume.
That's good. It's $16 right now. It's on sale, the early release.
Yep.
So cool.
That's cool.
I remember playing a railroad game on the Mac ages ago. Was it Sid Meier's Railroad Tycoon? Could have been a couple different things. And it was a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. Really, we talked about railroads a while ago with one of your picks, Father Corey, about the railroad cams. It's just, it appeals to something in the little boy in us. So,
yes, absolutely.
A lot of fun. Awesome. So, Joanne, what's your pick this week?
Well, my pick came to me as an Indiegogo startup, but now Hyperdrive has decided to manufacture it for everyone, and it is a 4K multi-display docking station for the MacBook Pros. Now, you can get 2 different versions of this. You can get the one with the 2 display or the 3 display. And the only difference is the other one comes with a removable 3rd display that you can add on to it. But basically, it also acts as a huge hub. So you put the laptop on it as you would with a docking station, and it sits there and it raises it ergonomically. And on the back, what you have is 2 ways that you can put 2 monitors in it. This is what I like about it. A lot of these hubs come with 1 HDMI, 1 DisplayPort.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
now you're trying to figure out, so your monitors don't always come that way. This one comes with 1 HDMI, 1 display for each monitor.
Each potential connection.
Right.
Right.
So that works a lot better. So you don't
Right.
have to sit there. If you can use HDMI or display, or if you want to build the 2, fine. It's got your Giganet, 10 gigabyte,
Yep.
big gigabit. Yeah, I always get those confused. Ethernet, your power. You got 2 USB-Cs, 3 USB-As. Of course, the disc and the micro.
SD
It
and
has
micro SD.
Yes.
Nice.
And the way you put it onto your computer is these lovely, those of you cannot see this, but it's a rubberized,
Double port, USB-C double port cable.
and it's got to be double.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've only got if you got 1 port on either side, this is not going to work. There has to be 2 ports on one side. And the one caveat for this whole thing, because I didn't think it worked at the beginning, is that these can be loose sometimes. So you have to make sure the connections are tight. But when they're tight, this is great for when I need to go somewhere and connect a monitor, which may not be mine. I can put I can set up a computer on any desktop. Well, we were going to do it here, but it's not. We have a little problem with these older display ports, Thunderbolt displays. So, but this is, I got it unfortunately for $124. It is $249 now.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
But if you want to have this type of a setup where you have HDMI or DisplayPort for each of your monitors, Hyper does a good product. And they have different docks for different things, but I like this one.
So, and then to clarify, when you said that it has 2 or 3 displays, so it has connectors, so you can connect up to 2 or 3 displays.
Correct.
And the second or third display is the built-in monitor, right? It's counting the laptop's own screen.
No, if you were going to you can use 2 displays plus the laptop screen for a 14-inch MacBook Pro. If you have the add-on, you can do 3 displays and the
3 external displays.
externals.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, and they work. I mean, it works with my Thunderbolts. So, but
Cool.
it's just a little precarious because the Thunderbolts. I'm nursing these things because I'm waiting to see them. I'm waiting for them to fix the Thunderbolt display that just came out. Don't say that too loudly, but I'm sure they will fix it by the time I need one.
The studio display, the
Yeah, the new one. Yeah,
there were some problems that were reported, but I heard that that was early production issue. That was the some review units.
let's hope so.
Yeah.
Because I did go see one at Best Buy and I was not impressed with the display.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just waiting to see if they're going to play with it software wise to see if it's going to get any better.
Interesting.
And while I'm doing this, I have one shout out to Apple Plus. Congrats on the Oscar for Coda.
that was your
I'll
pick of the
tell
week.
you, that was my pick of the week. I love that movie. And I'll tell you, people were saying, well, how did they get it before Netflix? Netflix, HBO Max, they're throwing so much spaghetti against the wall to see if it sticks.
Right.
Where I believe Apple is looking for quality programming, and this is a real quality movie. And it's an old fashioned one. Okay, Boomer, it's an old fashioned one, but it tells a story. It has a moral. It keeps you entertained. And thank God it won the Oscar after
Nice.
all of the business that went on that night.
Oh, yes. Let's not get into that. Let's just say it was a big hit.
It was a big hit. Yes, it was.
So let's talk about my pick of the week. This one is one that, so we just spent your money on the first two picks. I'm going to save you some money. This is a browser extension called Honey. And it works with Safari, Chrome, all the browsers. And what it does is it sits on your screen when you go to particular shopping websites that you can buy things. It'll pop up and it will it'll tell you that maybe things are on sale. It will tell you on Amazon. Sometimes will tell you, oh, this has been on sale as recently as, and give you some information like that. But it will also tell you if there's coupon codes or whatever. So I just bought a new grill recently, and it was, as grills go, they're not cheap, and I was able to save $100 on the grill because I when I was in the Home Depot website entering in my information, I told it, see if there's any coupon codes. I was like, oh, maybe I'll save a couple bucks here, and it saved me $100 off the grill. I'm like, that is
Oh, wow.
that is well worth, because one of the things that can be a little annoying is it pops up all the time, even when on sites where I'm like, I'm not buying it. This isn't a site where I buy things. It's like, I don't know, sometimes I have like WordPress extensions and it wants to like I'm not buying a WordPress extension. I'm managing my site here, but whatever. That has overridden the $100 I saved overrides any inconvenience. It is really great. And I've tried a bunch of different ones like this, but Honey has worked out really good. So I would recommend it. It's at joinhoney.com. We'll have links to everything in the show notes.
Here's the important question. Does it work at sqpn.com/merch?
Threadless, which is our merchandise, yes, actually, it pops up with coupon codes and things like that. So,
By the way, you like the not so sneaky.
Yes, thank you for throwing that in there. Yes, so
plug it in.
Yeah, StarQuest now has a lot of new merch for a lot of our shows. You can check it out at sqpn.com/merch, and there's some really fun new designs for a lot of our different shows that you can find there. Excellent. So I think that should do it for this time. Well, as I was trying to say, we love to hear from you on anything we've talked about this time. We would love to know what you think of our discussion. You can comment on the show at sqpn.com/technology or the SQPN Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuestMedia, or send an email to technology@sqpn.com, or now visit the new StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/Discord, where we're having some great conversations. Just take a moment to tell you that we've had great conversations with listeners that we haven't been able to have anywhere else on social media. This is so much better.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
We're
having a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's so much better than Facebook and Twitter and all that sort of stuff, including there's a Secrets of Technology channel and getting some great suggestions and ideas for future topics and people asking questions. So it's a great place, and come and interact with us. A lot of us are there, interacting with the listeners, and so come and talk to us. We'd love to hear from you.
I'll be there after Easter.
There you go. And of course, there are links from our discussion and our picks of the week in our show notes at sqpn.com. If you can, we would love it if you take a moment, please, to go write a review of the show in Apple Podcasts or one of the podcast directories. Share the podcast with your friends. Help us grow our community of listeners. And until next time, Father Corey Stika, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of technology.
Thank you, Dom.
Joanne Mercier, thank you as well.
Thanks, Dom.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Technology on StarQuest.